All right, Oscar nominations, they're coming out on Tuesday. Why not? I'm not 100% certain on these, but I'm just going to put out my final predictions now for the nominations, what films are going to get in, who is going to get in. I think there's going to be some surprises, so let's just dive on into it right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Tyson, and we are, of course, here to talk about movies. That's right, we do movie reviews, movie trailer reactions, we cover major movie news on our Admit One podcast, we do movie rankings, and, of course, we do Oscar Mondays. We're doing Oscar talk here for the Academy Awards, and if all that sounds interesting to you, make sure to check us out and subscribe. We're on the way to 1,000 subscribers here on the channel, and I'd love to have your guys' support as we go about that journey. All right, the Oscars, they're coming up. I'm feeling pretty good about Best Picture. I think it's pretty set in this 10. Let's just dive on in. All right, number one, I got Oppenheimer. I still think that's a strong front runner right now. I don't really see it ever going away. I think if it was starting to lose steam, we would already hear about it or see evidence of that right now. And I just don't think we do. And I'm okay with it because it's my favorite film of last year. But I think it's pretty set in its front runner status. At number two, I have The Holdovers. This got a lot of BAFTA love here. But it's also getting more and more love and actually more attention on Paul Giamatti, which we will talk about in a second. But I think The Holdovers, that has the second best chance, I believe, to win this award. Although I think it's pretty far from Oppenheimer. I do think it's the best one. And number three, I do have Poor Things. Again, did pretty well at the BAFTAs as well. And then we have Barbie. I have Barbie at number four, followed by Killers of the Flower Moon, American Fiction, Maestro, Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, and The Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest is the new one I added in there. I took out The Color Purple. I think I was one of the last people to firmly believe that The Color Purple was going to get a Best Picture nomination. It is my second favorite film of last year. I think that film is beautiful, but it's just not getting the reception you need going into nominations Tuesday. So, yeah, that's why I think I have it missing out. So I say Color Purple is probably at that 11th spot, but Zone of Interest gets in there at number 10. And then let's move on into Best Actress. All right, Best Actress. This one was interesting because the BAFTAs, for some reason, did not nominate Lily Gladstone here, which I was kind of surprised about. No, not kind of. I was very surprised about that one. I was very surprised about her missing, but that's not going to correlate much to the Oscars. And quick note on the BAFTAs, I mean, they do have some correlation to the Oscars, but not as much as people think. So while their nominations were interesting, to say the least, and no Poor Things boys got into Best Supporting Actor, like I said, Lily Gladstone got snubbed. I don't take those things into account that much. The voting body and how the voting, it's changed over the years, and I think it changed starting last year. So that's why I don't think the BAFTAs are as much of a precursor as they were originally to the Oscars because of how they changed their voting systems. So that's why I don't think it's the biggest award show to impact the Oscar race. But there is some overlap. But anyway, getting back into Best Actress here. Number one, I still do have Emma Stone for Poor Things. I do think it's still between her and Lily Gladstone, who's my number two. Although I think Emma Stone is, if I have to go out of 100, I'd say Emma Stone's probably, 60. Lily Gladstone's 40 on who could win. Number three, I do have Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of the Fall. I think she was brilliant in Anatomy of the Fall. And then I have Carey Mulligan, and I do have Margot Robbie in here for Barbie. She got the SAG. I knew she was going to. And then when she did get the BAFTA, it did clarify for me that the support is there for her. So I do believe she's going to get this nomination. Number 6, 7, possibilities. I would say Greta Lee for Past Lives, Annette Bening, Fantasia Barrino. Those are probably the three most likely to get into that fifth spot, with Greta Lee, I would say, leading that pack. But I honestly am feeling pretty comfortable in this 5. So let's move on into Best Actor now. In Best Actor, you have that, I do believe now it's a 2-horse race between Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy. And right now, Right now, I'm going Paul Giamatti at number one. I think the momentum for him is there, and I think after his win at the Critics' Choice, a lot of people love that speech, and that's where award shows like the Golden Globes and like the Critics' Choice, I would say, help the Oscar race the most is how your speech is received. And Paul Giamatti is just getting the love for everybody right now, while Cillian Murphy, I do still think, is in strong contention for this award. I do think it's neck and neck, but I'm just giving the slight edge to Giamatti now. So Cillian Murphy's at number two, followed by Bradley Cooper, and I have Jeffrey Wright and Coleman Domingo getting on in here for Best Actor. I do have Leonardo DiCaprio at that number six spot, but I am hoping he misses out. I don't think this was his strongest performance. I do think that Jeffrey Wright and Coleman Domingo deserve to be here in front of him, and I do think it's going to happen because it did happen at the BAFTAs as well. And other critics groups have not had a problem leaving off DiCaprio. So I don't see the Oscars having a problem either, and I am definitely okay with that. And then we got Best Director. This is Nolan's award. Nolan's winning it, hands down, not a problem. Number two, I do have Yorgos Lanthimos in here for Poor Things. Number three, I have Greta Gerwig in here for Barbie. No, I do not think she is going to get snubbed, even though she missed BAFTA. I don't see the Oscars leaving her out. There is no way. Greta Gerwig's getting in. Number four, Martin Scorsese. And number five, I am sticking with Alexander Payne for The Holdovers. A lot of people are putting in Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. I don't think that film is going to get a lot of love that it got at the BAFTAs. I don't think it's going to get that at the Oscars. I think it's going to get more than I originally thought. But I'm not predicting Glazer to get that one. So, again, people who are snubbing Gerwig, I don't see that happening. Watch me eat my words here and this not age well, but I really don't see Gerwig missing out here. Payne, I do have in. I'm feeling that one maybe a little wrong. Maybe not. If Justine Triet gets in for Anatomy of the Fall, I will love that. I just don't have enough confidence to put her in because I think Holdovers has a better shot overall as a film. But hey, if Justine Triet gets in, that's great. Let's get on into Best Supporting Actress now. This is called the Divine Joy Randolph Award. She's winning it hands down, followed by the number 2 and 3, Danielle Brooks and Emily Blunt. And then I still have Jodie Foster getting in here for Nyad. I don't see her missing, even though the film itself isn't going to get any more love. And then this fifth spot is the one I don't really know. Sandra Hüller could also get in here. She could get double nominated. But I feel like it's still going to go to Julianne Moore possibly for May, December. I don't believe the Penelope Cruz hype. I know the Academy, they do love her. They have nominated her a good amount before. I don't know. I'm going to stick with Julianne Moore here. I could be wrong, but I think I'm just going to stick with Julianne Moore. And that's really my only reasoning on that. All right, moving on into Best Supporting Actor. This one is also confusing for that fifth spot. But this is called the Robert Downey Jr. Award. Don't see anybody walking away with it except for him, and I could not be happier. At number 2, I do have Ryan Gosling for Barbie. At number 3, I have Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. I did think for a while he might get out. I do think he's pretty safe now. At number 4, I have Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. I do not see him missing. I think he was phenomenal. And here I do have number 5. I have it kind of open right now in my mind. I'm looking at these options. We got Charles Milton. We do have William Dafoe. We have Sterling K. Brown. We have Dominic Sessa. I would love any of these people to get into this fifth spot. However, I, for some reason, am feeling both Poor Thing boys still get in like I did originally when I first made this video. So I'm putting William Dafoe in at number 5. I think Charles Melton is losing some support, especially him not getting the SAG or the BAFTA, I think is a bit of a red flag. Sterling K. Brown, though. Sterling K. Brown could get that fifth spot. And I would not complain whatsoever. I love him. Dominic Sessa, I hope actually gets that award. I think he is brilliant in The Holdovers. And I love that he got that BAFTA nomination. But Sterling K. Brown in here, I do think is probably the biggest threat to get into that fifth spot, which I kind of hope happens too. I'm almost seeing if I just want to predict, a whim. Because one of these top 5 or the top categories here, above the line categories, they're not going to go all 5 like everybody thinks they are. There's always a surprise at one of them. All right, I'm just going to predict it now. Number 5, Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. That's my guess. I did say William Dafoe. We're taking that out. We're putting in Sterling K. Brown. That's my guess. All right, that's what's going on in Best Supporting Actor. It's confusing. All right, let's move on into now Best Adapted Screenplay, where Barbie should not be, but it is for some reason. Number 1, I have Oppenheimer. I still think that's in a pretty good contention spot. Number 2, I have Barbie. I do. I think Barbie is still in strong contention, even though they did switch categories. I think the Oscars are going to want to recognize Gerwig and Baumbach in some sort of way and recognize Barbie in some sort of way. And I think that adapted screenplay could be that category. People say the competition is, a little bit harder in this category. To that, I would agree. But I think Barbie it still has a strong chance of winning this one. Number 3, I got Poor Things. Number 4, American Fiction. Number 5, Killers of the Flower Moon. Honestly, I could see, not Killers, but all the rest of them, all the other 4, I could see have a chance winning this award. So I kind of love that this one's up in the air. But right now I am saying Oppenheimer at the lead. And then we got Best Original Screenplay. Here's where I think The Holdovers is going to shine as well. I think The Holdovers right now is in the front-runner status for this one, followed by Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, May, December, and Maestro. Now, I do think the hype for May, December and the support of it is lacking a bit now. So if I would have to choose a 6, I kind of got Air in there as my dark horse. I think Air could possibly shine through here. I think that screenplay is brilliant. But I'm going to say May, December for now is still going to get in. But be on the lookout for Air coming up on Tuesday because you never know. So those are my 5 there for original screenplay. Then we are moving on into cinematography, one of my favorite awards for the Oscars. I love the art of cinematography. I think it's one of the most important pieces of making a film. And I have Oppenheimer winning this award. To no one's surprise, I don't think anyone is expecting anyone other than Van Hoytema getting up there and accepting this Oscar. Number 2, I do have Poor Things, followed by Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, and The Zone of Interest. I think these are pretty set. If I'm honest, going into Tuesday, I feel pretty good about this 5. And I understand why all 5 are here, but I think Oppenheimer does blow all of these out of the water. I think that cinematography is just beautiful, and it moves at the great pace of the film, and I think it just matches up beautifully, so that's why I think it's winning here. But those are my 5 going into Tuesday. And then we got Best Costume Design. In this one, I have Barbie, number 1, followed by Poor Things, which I could see take the win possibly away from Barbie. But, I think Barbie's going to get some love. Followed by number 3, I do have The Color Purple, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Napoleon in here. Now, I think that 5th spot could go to either Napoleon or Wonka, but I think the costumes in Napoleon were actually rather good and I thought impressive. So I think they're going to recognize that in period piece war drama. Whether or not you like the film or not, I think you can't say that the costumes were bad because I think the costume was probably one of the positives of that film. Yeah, so those are my 5 there. And then we are moving on into film editing. Now, this one has a huge correlation with Best Picture. If you win Best Editing and you're nominated for Best Picture, which is most of the time, you're going to win Best Picture. So, with that being said, Oppenheimer is my number 1, and I'm feeling pretty confident about this one. Number 2, I would say Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, The Holdovers, and Barbie being my top 5. Barbie is getting a lot of love in the editing categories for other award shows, and I think it's strong enough to get in here for the Oscars. But again, that correlation between Best Picture and Best Editing, Oppenheimer here I think is going to win. And obviously, I also think it's going to win Best Picture. All right, and then we got Best Makeup and Hair. This one's going to Maestro. I don't see anybody stopping that. Then we got Poor Things as well. Poor Things very well deserved here. And then I am putting in Oppenheimer. I think the makeup especially for me during the scene where Oppenheimer's giving that speech in the flashback with the bomb, and you can see some of the victims there. I think that was great makeup. And then we have Society of the Snow and Golda. There's always one film I've never heard of, and that is Golda. That always makes it into a category like this, and those are my top 5 for makeup and hair. But again, Maestro with the prosthetic nose for Bradley Cooper, and they did do a fantastic job making both him and Carey Mulligan age throughout the film. Fantastic part of that film. All right, then we're moving on into production design, another favorite of mine. And this one I do think is going to Barbie hands down. And then number 2, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon. And this one could go Asteroid City. I'm going to stick with the color purple for now. But I would not be surprised if Asteroid City gets on in here as well. I did not like that film, but I did like the production design. And then we are moving on into Best Score, known as the Oppenheimer Award here as well. Ludwig Göransson's going to get his second Oscar here for Oppenheimer, one of the best scores I have ever heard in my life. Number 2, Killers of the Flower Moon, followed by Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Zone of Interest. Across the Spider-Verse here, getting into another category. I think that score is phenomenal. All right, moving on into Best Song. This one is called the Barbie Award, just the question of which one it's going to. But I think it's pretty clear. I do think What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Phineas are going to get their second Oscar as well. Followed by I'm Just Ken, Road to Freedom from Rustin. I think The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. And I would say American Symphony, It Never Went Away. American Symphony, that song is by Jon Batiste. And I love Jon Batiste. And he is an Oscar favorite. So I think they're going to put him in here over the Color Purple song. I think the Color Purple is just losing a lot of steam, so it's going to lose a lot of nominations in the Oscars here. But, this is the Barbie Award, so that's that. Moving on to Sound, also known as the Oppenheimer Award. And I'm going to be sounding like kind of on repeat here because we got Oppenheimer number 1, Maestro number 2, followed by Killers of the Flower Moon, The Zone of Interest, and Ferrari. Cars going vroom vroom. Yeah, that usually gets you in. So, see that getting in here. And then we move on into visual effects. Right now, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 leading the way, followed by The Creator, which visual effects were also brilliant. Poor Things, I do think, is getting in here. I am sticking out hope that Godzilla -1 gets in because I'm nominating that. I'm putting that on the board. Please, Oscars, please nominate that for Best Visual Effects. All right, number 5. I don't understand this one completely, but maybe I'm just stupid. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I mean, it's animated. I don't necessarily, just because I haven't done the research on it, know how the visual effects are, or is it just animation? I'm not sure, but it's got a lot of love in the visual effects category. So I'm just going to nominate it here. I just am. That's just how I'm going to do it. But Guardians 3 I have right now as the lead. I think it should have gotten nominated in Best Makeup and Hair because a lot of it was prosthetics. But I really am hoping for that one, but I would not be upset if The Creator won there as well. And then we're moving on to Best Animated Film. I got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse taking this one by a mile. I don't think it's close between that and The Boy and the Heron. I just don't. But The Boy and the Heron is my number 2. Followed by Elemental. I'm putting in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Nimona. Would I like to see Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget get in? Yes. But I only love the first one. The Dawn of the Nugget one was okay. But I do love how they make those films with stop motion animation. All right, now let's get into Best International Film. Easily, Zone of Interest. That's going to win. Society of the Snow, number 2. Fallen Leaves, Perfect Days, and The Taste of Things. I don't really know much about this one, but I do know that Zone of Interest is winning it. So, it's good enough for me. All right, let's move on into Best Documentary. We got number 1, American Symphony. Number 2, 20 Days in Mariupol. Number 3, Beyond Utopia. Number 4, Four Daughters. And number 5, still a Michael J. Fox movie. Again, I don't know much about this one, but I think American Symphony is taking the cake. And guys, that does it with the nominations. Those are my final predictions for what's going to get nominated this coming Tuesday for the Oscars. Reminder, I will be live reacting to these nominations when they get announced, and I will be posting that soon after. So be on the lookout for that, and like, subscribe, share this video, share this channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so please share this to anybody who would love this sort of content. and just comment down below. That helps spread the love. That helps get this video out there. Just interact. Interact with the channel. That really helps us out here a lot. So I appreciate you all doing that. And let me know down below, what are your Oscar predictions? Who do you think is getting in? What films do you think have the best shots? I think Oppenheimer is going to be the one who has the most at the end. I don't exactly know, how many, but I think it's going to get a good amount. So let me know all the thoughts down below in the comments. And until the next one, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you for the live reaction of the Oscar nominations.